I'm so angry. Y'all know what B-Reel is? Well, B-Reel came in the middle of me filming, so now this is what I have to resort to now, and that sucks. What's going on, everybody? Today I'm coming at you with the surprisingly highly anticipated and long-awaited Phenyx Pro PTX 30 live mixing console honest review. Without any more delay, let's get right into it. I was very shocked to read through the comments on my YouTube channel the last few months and see that you guys were all hyped about the review of the PTX 30. And you're probably wondering why I'm not holding it or showing any pictures of it. And that is a very interesting story that you can find by supporting me on Patreon. It is probably the easiest way to support my channel. Any little bit helps, and I would very much appreciate it. Without further ado though, let's go ahead and get into the PTX 30 honest review. And y'all know how I like to start these off with the overview. The Phenyx Pro PTX 30 is an 8-channel mixer that has Bluetooth and USB in, a USB-B interface to record to your computer or play out of your computer, with 99 DSP effects, XLR and quarter-inch outputs, 3-band EQ on each channel, and it features an all-metal design with smooth faders and easy-to-use knobs and buttons. The PTX 30 runs off of a standard PC power cable and any regular 120 volt, 240 volt AC outlet. The build quality of the Phenyx Pro PTX 30 is far from complainable. It is built out of an all-metal design with very high-quality components and materials that will last a very long time under the right circumstances. Alright, now let's get into the things that I like. And while I'm going on about the things that I like, I will be showing a couple of clips from the various gigs that I have used with this. Man, let me just tell you, for being an analog mixer, this is quite a powerful mixer. Considering it's the highest channel count of mixer I've ever owned myself, I'm pretty pleased with it. The first thing I absolutely like about the Phenyx Pro PTX 30 is the build quality. Now, under the right circumstances, this console is built to last. It is not going to get damaged very easily, and it is not going to break anytime in the near future. The preamps on this are very clean. Now, as you know, a clean signal starts with a good cable, and I like to use the Dynamic cables for my XLR connections and the Amazon Basics cables, the shielded cables, for my quarter-inch connections. But given you have a good cable, you can run the preamp as hot as you need and you will not run into any background noise. It is a very clean preamp and I'm very pleased with the quality they are able to get out of it. Alright, now to keep it moving nice and smoothly, no pun intended, the knobs and faders on here are very smooth. There is a lot of granularity that you can achieve on these faders. It is a very fine distinction between how far you can move them before your signal actually makes a difference, and that's something that I like. You can have very fine control with the Phenyx Pro PTX 30, and I like that. Now the next thing that I like about this console is going to take a little bit of explanation. Now this is an analog console, which means that there is no digital parts to it whatsoever, unless you of course want to consider the virtual effects engine, but I don't use it very much. The fact that this is an analog console means that you do not have to worry about patching, you do not have to worry about outboard effects, and you do not have to worry about your signal processing being cut off in the chain somewhere. This makes audio processing and interfacing very easy for beginners. Like for example, somebody who has never used an audio interface before can easily pick up an analog mixer and understand what is going on. That is why I like the PTX 30, because of the fact that it is an analog mixer and that somebody who has not used interfaces before can pick it up very easily. The next thing that I like about this mixer, despite being an analog mixer, is that it actually has its own built-in USB Type-B interface, which will allow you to connect it to a computer and use it as a stereo output in OBS, XSplit, Ableton, whatever you need it to be used for. It does not, however, support multi-track, but that is something I heard they're working on a firmware update. The ability to have USB-B is pretty useful if you don't have something like this, an audio interface, to drive your mixer. This will allow you to plug it straight into your computer and get the audio out as easy as possible. Now, I'm going to talk about this more when I get to the things that I don't like, but I'm going to just say very briefly that the USB interface built into the console is very noisy. And when I emailed them about this, they suggested performing a firmware update, and just so you guys are aware, that firmware update did not, in fact, help the noisy USB-B output. Another thing that I really like, and I know you audio guys are going to be with me on this one, is that there are plenty of outputs. So, we have a total of 6 combined output jacks. We have 2 1/4-inch left and right outs, 1 for room out, 1 for master out, so 4 in total. And then we have a left and a right XLR balanced output. Now, let me explain my use case to you guys real quick, the most common use case rather. I also use the Phenyx Pro PTM22 wireless monitor system, but I don't use it for what it's designed for. I use it as a wireless PA system. So the PTU22 only accepts 1/4-inch outputs. So what I like to do is I send the master out 1/4-inch left to one of the body packs of the PTM, and then I send the 1/4-inch master right out to the other body pack. So that's how I get my wireless PA, and then I have to get the source into the computer somehow. And we already talked about how noisy the USB output is, so I use my Behringer UM2 and this little cable right here, which allows me to connect both the left and the right and put it into one channel. I know it's mono, it's probably not the best, but it allows me to put it into one channel, and then I can send it into OBS through the UM2 and get a cleaner signal. This is why I'm glad that there are multiple outputs. However, and I'm gonna talk about this more in the negatives, there is no buses or aux monitors. So all you're stuck with is the left and right master. I wish there are at least 2 aux buses, but there's nothing I can really do about that, so we're just gonna have to settle with it. This means though that you're not going to be able to run a click track to your singers and not to the PA unless you work out some magic with your computer. Another thing that I really like about this mixer, and that has actually saved me in a few circumstances, is that it has a built-in Bluetooth 4.0 streaming from your phone or laptop. Now, this is a very useful feature because it is standalone from the 8 tracks. It has its own slider that will allow you to control it separately, and it is a combined stereo channel off of one fader. So all you have to do is hit the pair button and connect it to your phone or laptop or tablet, and it is a seamless Bluetooth pairing connection. I'm very glad that this is built in, as it has actually saved me a few times in some cases where my aux cable has decided to not work and cause a bunch of noise in the signal processing. So I've decided to instead just use the Bluetooth, because thankfully the computer we were using had a Bluetooth adapter in it, so we were able to connect it and use it that way. This is one of the things that I love about the Bluetooth streaming, is that it is such an easy way to connect it, and it sounds as if it were connected via a cable. I already talked about this in the overview, but another thing I like is that this is a true 8-channel mixer, which means that we actually have all 8 XLR or 1/4-inch inputs. Now, these are combined jacks, which means that the XLR and the 1/4-inch are in the same port. So you can plug either a 1/4-inch or an XLR port into the same hole. Now, my other mixer, my old mixer, which is a Soundcraft 124, it had XLR, and then below it was the 1/4-inch. This one has them on the same hole, so it makes it very easy for you guys to plug it in and not get confused. Alright, now we're going to get into the things that I don't like, and you're going to hear me reiterate myself a lot because I've had to deal with this mixer for a long time, and I do have mixed opinions about most of these things. One of the big things that I do not like about this mixer is that even though it's 8 channels, it does not have a stereo RCA in or return. This means that you could not take something like a white and a red cord that turns into an aux cord and use that. I would love to be able to use that, as it provides a true balanced connection and gives you less chance for noise in your signal chain. But the fact that it does not have this is kind of a big deal, because I very regularly find myself using the 2-channel return and the 2-channel in track through the RCA, because of how convenient it is that I not only have a 2-channel in from an iPod or an MP3 player, but I also have my 2-channel return that I can send back out to a recorder or a computer for the purpose of recording and streaming. Now, the fact that this mixer does not have that is kind of a big deal because I find myself using that stuff very regularly. So I have had to find workarounds, but I was able to make it work. And with that being said, another limitation of the analog console is that while it is easy to learn, there are very limited effects. Take, for example, Allen and Heath's SQ series. That is a digital console, which means that you can preload all the effects on it that you want straight from a computer and use them on board. With an analog console, if any, you're limited to the digital effects that it comes with. You cannot remove them and you cannot install any more. You are stuck with whatever it comes with. And I think this is a big limitation because there have been instances when I wanted to put reverb on a cymbal mic or a overhead mic, and I was not able to do that because I could not fine-tune the reverb to how I wanted it. It was either on or off. And that's not something I like to use. So I had to find a workaround. My workaround was actually rather easy. I plugged in the overhead mic into Ableton, ran it through an effects processor, and then sent the output from Ableton back into the mixer. That's how I was able to get reverb on an overhead mic. But it is a very tedious process for a newcomer, and it's honestly not super efficient. And the last thing, which again, I already iterated in the things I like, but kind of negative, now I'm gonna say it again, and the fact that there are no aux or monitor outs. Almost every console, analog or digital, has at least 2 aux outs. Now, you're probably wondering, what is an aux out? The very simple definition, and the way I understand it, is this. It is a separate output independent of your left and right main mix that you can send to a monitor, singer, or mix that will not be heard in the room or on live. That is a very basic definition. It's essentially another mix that you can send to a band member or a stream or whatever. It basically is independent of the main mix. So you can throw whatever you want in there, and the main congregation, I'm using church term because that's where I work in mostly, the main congregation won't hear it. Like, for example, if you wanted to send a click and guide track to a singer, but not have that fed through the main PA, that is a case where you would send it through the aux, because only the band member's aux will hear it, not the entire PA. But this board does not have that, and as far as I'm aware, there is no workaround you can do in Ableton to get this to work, except for using Ableton itself, which is an infuriating process. Another thing that I do not like about this is the USB-A interface. It is very clunky, it is hard to use, and it is just not very good in my opinion. I do like that it has onboard recording, but the quality is not good. It's way better when you use the UM2 or other device. And alright, and that concludes the honest review of the Phenyx Pro PTX 30. If you do have any more questions, please leave them in comments below. Y'all already know that I check the comments like crazy, so if y'all have any questions, just let me know. And remember, if you're interested as to why there hasn't been much B-roll or footage of the product in this video, go check out Patreon, because I have the video on there as to why there is not a lot of stuff in this video. But I don't want to put that on here. I gotta entice y'all somehow, so go check that out. It's a very low price. It's the easiest way you can support the channel. And if that doesn't work, subscribing to the channel by clicking the red button is a free way to support the channel as well. Also, hitting the like button helps. It helps my videos get out to people who have not seen them yet, because YouTube thinks that you guys like watching my content and thinks that other people would like watching it as well. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out Patreon, and I will see you guys next time.